The grandfather clock chimed 12 times, its resonant tolls swallowed by the heavy silence of the old mansion. Rain lashed against the windows, each drop a fleeting whisper against the glass. A flash of lightning illuminated the study for a fleeting moment, revealing a figure slumped over the mahogany desk, a silver letter opener protruding from their back. Darkness descended again, swallowing the gruesome scene. The only sound was the relentless drumming of the rain, a mournful rhythm that echoed the silent scream of the victim. The scent of lilies, heavy and cloying, hung in the air, a stark contrast to the metallic tang that was slowly beginning to spread through the room. The first rays of dawn pierced through the gloom, revealing the full extent of the tragedy. The victim was Charles Ashton, the wealthy patriarch of the Ashton family. His stern face, now frozen in a mask of surprise, was a stark contrast to the chaos that had descended upon Ashton Manor. The household staff bustled around in a flurry of whispers and worried glances. The maid, her face pale and drawn, recounted discovering the body. The butler, his usual composure shaken, stood stiffly to the side, his eyes darting suspiciously towards the family members gathered in the hall. Each member of the family reacted to the news with a different shade of grief. There was Edward, the eldest son, his face etched with what seemed to be genuine sorrow. Then there was Emily, Charles's young widow, her beautiful face streaked with tears, a delicate hand clutching a lace handkerchief. And finally, there was Robert, the younger son, his eyes red-rimmed but holding a flicker of something other than sadness. Detective Inspector Davies arrived at Ashton Manor with a quiet authority that belied his unassuming appearance. His sharp eyes, magnified by the round spectacles perched on his nose, missed nothing as he surveyed the scene. He questioned the staff, his voice calm and methodical, meticulously noting down their statements. The clues were like scattered puzzle pieces. The murder weapon, a silver letter opener, was a family heirloom, accessible to everyone in the house. The study, locked from the inside, pointed towards a crime committed by someone familiar with the house. The time of death, established to be around midnight, narrowed down the suspects to those present in the mansion during the storm. As Detective Davies delved deeper, he found himself drawn into a web of secrets and lies. Edward, it turned out, had been embroiled in a bitter dispute with his father over his inheritance. Emily, much younger than Charles, had been the subject of hushed whispers about a possible affair. Even Robert, the seemingly harmless younger son, had a gambling debt he was desperate to settle. The tension in Ashton Manor was palpable as Detective Davies gathered everyone in the drawing room. The air was thick with suspicion, each family member avoiding the gaze of the others. Silence descended as the detective, his face unreadable, began to speak. He recounted the events of the night, piecing together the evidence he had gathered. Just when he pointed towards Edward, believing him to be the most likely suspect, a gasp rang out from the back of the room. It was the maid, her face ashen, her finger pointing a trembling finger at Emily. "It was her," she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. "I saw her leaving the study just after midnight. Her dress, it was stained with blood." Emily's composure finally crumbled. The tears were gone, replaced by a look of cold calculation. The seemingly heartbroken widow had been a carefully constructed facade. The motive, it turned out, was simple: greed. Charles's will had left the bulk of his fortune to his eldest son, leaving Emily with a meager allowance. The murder had been a calculated risk, a desperate gamble to secure her future. As the officers led Emily away, Detective Davies allowed himself a small, grim smile. The truth, as always, had a way of revealing itself, even in the most unexpected of ways.